Rolling.
Okay, Tammy, go.
Okay, first slide please. Thank you. Next one. Keep going. Okay, so basically the first step was the conceptual phase where I presented independently 3 ideas of different music videos that I wanted. Go on to the next slide, Phil. Oh dear. Basically, so my first idea was about girls having lots of fun, with like lots of balloons and paint and all that kind of stuff. And my feedback I got from the class was that it needed a lot more expanding and more elements, and it was the least favourite idea, and so scrapped that quite quickly. The second idea, I had the idea of creating like a wee dance video, and my feedback was that it was too difficult to pull off and it probably wouldn't work, and there also weren't enough strands to keep the audience interested for the final product, but they liked the idea of the song, so yeah. The overall point of all of my ones I decided was that I needed more elements to them all because they all had some foundation to it, but they all needed a key thing to keep it interesting, which none of them particularly had. Next one. So based on this, I didn't particularly like them, so we scratched them and started a new idea, which is how we got the tessellate idea. So this is a mind map of all the 4 main elements, and then we focused quite hard on having 4 strong elements, so because that was what I struggled with the time before that. So we had underwater and all those kind of ones. The feedback from my new idea was that Luke said that he really liked it, but the main one he said was that he didn't think the underwater shots would work because they're very difficult and then you never get the outcome that you want. So as a result of this we scrapped that and came up with different ones like ink and water instead, and double exposure effects and things like that to keep it interesting. So the rough cut stage, we did a focus group to a class of girls and guys at our same age as us, 16, 17, and we showed all 3 products, so the Digipack video and website. And this was good because they were all objective and they hadn't seen any of our products before, so their feedback was valid. Next one. Yeah. So our website feedback that we got was that it looked quite unprofessional. It was the most unprofessional out of all 3 of them. And that on the gallery, as you can see, there were photos of basically her in the woods, and they all looked like they were filmed on the same day. And they said, the main point they said was that it had nothing to do with our music video or our Digipack, and that the front cover wasn't exactly the most exciting and gripping, and it didn't really fit with our kind of genre. So yeah. So this is what we did to the website. The video doesn't work. So we used the geometric shapes and based the whole idea on Charli XCX and Chiesa's and Tovlo's websites, and we also made the triangle and Azella stay on each page because that's what we had looked at on other ones, and this was much more effective and eye-catching. So this is what we did to the gallery. We decided to change it to social media kind of photos instead of her walking around the forest. This was also taken off like Charli XCX's website and things like that because it makes it a lot more interesting for someone viewing it, and it links a lot more closely to our Digipack and video. So, Digipack feedback. They basically said that, again, it didn't look completely, it wasn't completely finished and professional. They also thought that the front cover with our performer Zell was kind of half naked, and they thought that it lowered the standard of the whole thing altogether, and it wasn't really in keeping with our genre. As well as the back one, the back cover doesn't look particularly professional, and so we altered that. And on the next slide, this was our final outcome of Digipack. So we thought a close-up of Zell's face would work a lot better on the front, and if we only had one photo, it's more in keeping with the genre of synth pop, instead of making the audience think it's pop genre, and we stuck to all the geometric shapes as well. So the evaluation stage, we did we did a survey, and once all the products are finished, we asked 4 questions and sent them off to a school in North London. There were people of our age, roughly our age, who had never seen it before. It wasn't biased at all because they didn't know us, and it meant that we could get very valid answers, and it would be very useful for future productions. So our first question was, what genre do you think it is? And majoritively they said like alternative pop kind of things like that. But a couple of people also said jazz, which we were quite disappointed with, because although there were slight influences in the music, there were none that we had shown in the video. But generally it was about half and half, so I think most people did get it with this kind of alternative synth pop. Second question was, what artist do you think is similar to? This was really good because we based our thing a lot around Ellie Goulding, partly because she sings the song as well. And so it was really good that they caught on to that. It was slightly more pop, kind of leaning towards pop more in terms of who they thought was similar, but as a whole it was quite successful, I think. We asked them to describe 3 adjectives to describe her, and they were all kind of cool, hipster, indie, a couple of them said modern, like talented. Which they were all very good, but we wanted to avoid the terms hipster and indie, and I think in the future we would probably focus on trying to make a very obvious like adjective for her, like talented or like original, that kind of thing. Yeah. And finally, the last question, we wanted to know if it was cohesive, all our 3 products, and they all agreed that it was cohesive and all fit together, except on the digipack, someone said that they didn't understand why there were faded trees on the front cover, because they had nothing to do with the rest of it. So I think, again, in the future we would keep comparing them all and do more focus groups before we'd finished it to see if they were all cohesive and everything worked well together. Ta-da!
Okay, thanks, Tabby. Anyone got any questions from you lot out there? No? Okay, Tabby, what do you think, if you had to think about the whole process, is there anything you picked up on from the audience that you didn't already know yourself? Or wasn't aware of?
I don't know, I think everything they said we agreed with.
But had you thought of it, is there anything that they sort of draw your attention to?
They did make us think that we should think more about things like adjectives to describe her, or make sure the genre is much clearer, those kind of things. But I think most of their feedback I think also knew as well.
Okay. Which of the 3 sort of different, you've got sort of 3 slightly different methods of gathering feedback. Did you think any of them were more successful than others?
I like the idea of focus groups, but I think that a lot of the time people can change their actual opinions if they feel intimidated or they don't want to say how they feel in front of you. So I think actually the SurveyMonkey thing was quite a good idea, because we didn't know them at all, and it was anonymous. So I think that works quite well because they say what they actually think.
Okay, and if you had to sort of think of the importance of considering what an audience thinks, and conversely sort of sticking with what you think, how do you think the kind of balance of those things weighs out? I mean, probably different in every case, but in this example, do you think, how important was it to sort of stick to your key idea, and how important to sort of change it in accordance with stuff the audience said?
I think you have to keep it to what you thought in some senses, so that you don't completely change your idea. But I also think you need to think about what the audience want, because at the end of the day you're trying to sell a product to an audience, so you have to listen to a certain amount of feedback from them to make it more sellable, I guess.
Okay, alright, thank you very much.